I did not listen to any of those. I was too into Steely Dan to break away, even for a moment.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Listography. Jason, Joe, and Krams are here. Songs of the Year, 1964. We are through the early part of the 60s, where Joe was complaining, it seemed every year, that it was the worst year ever. It's kind of like dead zone between the early rock pioneers and the Beatles and the British invasion. I was content during those years. I was finding a lot of good songs that I liked, but getting to 64, the floodgates have opened. Just tons and tons of good songs. It's pretty brutal narrowing it down. How do you guys feel about 64?
I think it's funny that you said Joe wasn't content. Joe's generally either in love or hate. There's 3.5 stars is something he never wants to hear again. I love it. But I kind of lean closer to Joe. Like when I think about how like thick and rich the top 100 is going to be, like in the 80s and stuff like that, 60s don't even come close. The top tier really good. But for depth, yeah, like sorting out like 1984's like best pop hits is going to be like, I'm going to have like Graduated Cylinders and Acid in the Bases and trying to figure out what's actually better. 64, yeah, I mean, it's all about the killer bees here, Beach Boys, Beatles, Bob Dylan for me. But yeah, the other hits are really good too. I think it's a little bit better than some of the worst years we've done so far. But like I said, I think on the horizon are much better years for pop.
Well, it's definitely the best year we've done so far. I got a lot of like really topped songs. Usually I have to kind of reach for something that I may have never even heard before. Not this year. I got more than enough to fill a top 10. So there's some tough cuts, probably really for the first time. There's some songs on here that I'd love to talk about, but just not enough room.
All right, so before we get into the picks, quick reminder, 5 of our picks have to come from the Hot 100. They could have charted at any time during the year, could be number 100 for 1 week, and they're still eligible. Our other 5 picks are wildcards, and they can come from anywhere. They could have also charted. They could be B-sides, they could be album cuts, soundtracks, anything at all. And then in addition to that, we're also choosing our least favorite song to reach the top 40. So here we go. Who wants to start?
We'll start with our Billboard songs, our top 5 that all charted in 1964. I have this number 5 was one I was not familiar with, but it's going to be Steal Away by Jimmy Hughes. Different sounding song. He's got the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. So it's not quite, it's not like the Phil Spector Wall of Sound or Motown or anything like that. So it's definitely different sounding. Great soulful vocals from Jimmy Hughes, who I'm not very familiar with, but cool sound from that. Number 4, a classic that everyone will be familiar with, You Really Got Me by the Kinks. Not just B-bands here in 1964. We got the Kinks and some other big names that are going to be very prominent. Number 3, I'm going to go back to the well. The Beach Boys, one of maybe a couple that'll appear on this list. I'm going to do I Get Around. Great, just pure sunshine. I love the way the low vocals and the high vocals mixed together. Just lovely singing, of course, by the Beach Boys. Number 2, another band, not a B band, but a band that many people probably don't think of being around this early. I got The Who with I Can't Explain, sort of in their more mod phase, kind of Beatlesy, not that punky kind of harder R&B stuff that they'd get to next year, but this is some really nice group vocals, nice crunchy rock beat. And my number 1 for the year for the Billboard charting songs, although I think all of these, my personal 5 also charted, but I got Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes. Got the classic Holland Dozier Holland, Diana Ross, great vocals. She's just so in control of the song, and the Baby Baby and Where Did Our Love Go backing vocals just kind of chiming in. That nice, it's like a march almost. It's really cool. And I'm a big Supremes fan, so that was an easy pick for my number 1 Billboard song of the year.
We've got maybe a record so far. 3 in common. No, sorry, 2. 2 in common. One of them is the Beach Boys, Killer Bees. Like I said, I Get Around, just really fun. Love the little breakdown. Vocals are great, gives you that great beachy, fun sensation. Also gonna go with a little bossa nova here from the Gets Gilberto album, The Girl from Ipanema. I love it. It's got those really cool martini vibes to it. It's just got a cool sensation to it. And I'm going to go also with Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. I think just a really great, simple song that kind of illuminates what rock music can bring, like fun-wise. Like the vocals are like intentionally kind of like sluggish and drunken and just like, it's probably just sounded like crap and noise to other people, but or the older generation, but it's awesome. And if you don't appreciate it, you should watch the film Mr. Holland's Opus. There's a great scene where he's this classical musical teacher, and he, in like the early 60s, and he brings this record in and talks about how everything is wrong with it classically, but he still loves it because it's got spirit. And that's really what it's all about. The next 2 are going to be illustrations of how not only we like 1964, but also obviously Van Halen, because they just plucked song after song out of here and covered them. One being Joe shared one, The Kinks, You Really Got Me. Just a lot of great attitude, killer guitar riff that must have been so heavy for the time, and just a really great catchy chorus. And also Roy Orbison's Oh Pretty Woman, just a great sound to it. Really lovely melody to it with just some really cool vigorous like attitude with the growl, and I just love the riff too. It's great. It's a classic. Roy Orbison has a tremendous voice. Maybe not my favorite Roy Orbison song, but definitely probably the most iconic one. So those are 5 billboards for me.
You know, you forgot to mention Dancing in the Street, also from 64. What, Van Halen, that I never realized 3 of their covers from 1964.
My Hot 100 picks. First one I got is Needles and Pins by the Searchers. Love it. Super catchy. One of like the early examples of what would later become known as like jangle pop. Kind of has that birdsy sound to it. This one co-written by Sonny Bono, originally recorded by Jackie DeShannon, but this version is a lot more upbeat and infectious. Hers is a little bit plodding. But her vocal performance is really good on her version as well. My next one is A World Without Love by Peter and Gordon, written by Paul McCartney when he was 16 years old. The Beatles thought it was not quite up to their standard, but I would love to hear a full Beatles version of it. You can find leaked demos of it, but man, it would be so great as a Beatles song. But as it is, as a Peter and Gordon song, still great, just an unbelievable melody. One of McCartney's best, I actually think. Then I've got I Don't Care Just As Long As You Love Me by Buck Owens, my obligatory Buck Owens pick for the year. He's going to be getting pushed out pretty soon by some of these juggernauts, but in 64, still holding his own, gets one on the list. Then I've got Don't Worry Baby by the Beach Boys. Maybe Joe's Song of the Year, I'm guessing, since it didn't show up on his Hot 100 list. It's kind of like Brian Wilson's version of The Wall of Sound. Really great. Some of the best falsetto singing ever. And then I'm going with the Beatles, and they had so many songs chart in 64. It was difficult to decide like which Beatles would get on the list, but I'm going with I Should Have Known Better. Love it. B-side of Hard Day's Night. Love the harmonic on it. I think it's a great melody, and there's a lot of energy in the track, so that's my pick. All right, so we're ready to get into the wild card selections. I think we all did 5 that time, so we're all going to do 4 for the wild cards.
Yeah, he's correct. I got 4 here for y'all. So there's a little controversy when I ragged on Sam Cooke's singing voice. It wasn't him. It's not his voice. It was the material I found a little, I don't know, too wishy-washy, kind of too cutesy. My number 5, A Change Is Gonna Come, is not that at all, and he really shows off what he can do. And yes, he has an amazing voice, and this material suits him much better. Got a little grit to it, socially conscious. Great song. Number 4, we got a Smokey Pen tune. I got to get Smokey pretty much on every year. He didn't sing it, but he wrote it. Another Motown classic, My Girl by the Temptations. Love the Bass by the great James Jamerson, probably the best bassist of all time. And just those cool kind of group vocals, fun tune. Everybody knows that one. Number 3, I got to have some Beatles on here. And yes, there's like a million. I could have probably put a couple more Beatles on here if I was being honest, but try to keep it to one. I'm going to do I Saw Her Standing There is my Beatles cut for the year. I just, great twanging guitars, the hand claps, the vocals on they sing How Could I Dance With Another, just like perfect. I don't know what it is exactly. It's like almost country-ish even a little bit. So yeah, one of my favorite Beatles tunes for sure. Number 2, on most years, this would win. And this is a hell of a song, maybe the most like purely original sounding. You have the Zombies with She's Not There. The combination between the bass and the electric piano, just really wild sounding for the time. Doesn't sound like anything else on my list or anything else I heard on the Billboard charts. Really cool, like pre-psychedelic, but really cool stuff from the Zombies. And my winner is going to have to wait for the winners period. So everyone knows what it is at this point.
Don't worry, Joe. All right. I also have My Girl by the Temptations. Awesome. What more can you say about it? The strings that come in, the so how do you not smile when that happens? I've also got some love for the Beatles here, but I've got And I Love Her. Really cool melancholic guitar here. Vocal layers are like darkly angelic, which I really like. And it's a cool love song that's not like the typically perky kind of enchanting love song here. And speaking of love songs, someone that really can't be undone with love songs, I've got Bob Dylan. Got To Ramona, very delicate song. Has some great lyrics here. Shed softly your watery eyes. It's all just a dream, babe, a vacuum, a scheme, babe, that sucks you into feeling like this. Really cool song about like the promise of love not really matching reality. And in the same vein as that, I'm also going with Bob Dylan. It Ain't Me, Babe. Really love his old raw rhythmic acoustic playing. I think he's just singing great here. I'm with Jason. I can understand why some people don't like his voice. I like it, but I think he is a great singer. I think you feel every word that he says. Some great lyrics here, really unique about the expectations of either her or yourself, just not quite living up to it, or her or him in a relationship, not getting what you deserve. Really great song. I also like the Johnny Cash, June Carter version too, but this one gets my vote now, and we will have to save my winner for the winner period.
All right, my wild card picks. I've got one that Cram had on his Hot 100 list. I've got The Girl from Ipanema from Stan Getz and João Gilberto. I don't know, my Portuguese is rough, but great song. I love the whole album. This is the most well-known song, obviously, with Astrid Gilberto singing on it, allegedly the second most recorded pop song in history behind the Beatles' Yesterday. I'm with Joe on A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. Great vocal performance, great song, inspired just, by the racism that he experienced in his life, the civil rights movement, and specifically an incident where he was turned away from a white motel when he was on tour with his entourage. Going with the Beach Boys, I've got The Warmth of the Sun, which was the B-side to Dance, Dance, Dance. It was written on the day of the JFK assassination. Mike Love says that they wrote it early in the morning before the assassination. Brian Wilson claims they wrote it later in the afternoon afterwards, and it was inspired by the assassination. So whoever you believe there, but it was written that day. And then for my last one, going with another Beatles song, one that didn't chart in 64, but I've got I'll Follow the Sun from Beatles for Sale. Another one that McCartney wrote prior to his time with the Beatles when he was 16 years old, which is absolutely unbelievable. And it's really cool. The recording, Ringo like tapping on his knees for the percussion, just gives it a unique flavor. But I love that song.
Really weird that Mike Love and Brian Wilson would disagree on something. And I think Ringo just missed the snare and hit his knee, and they just kept it in.
Maybe. Okay, so time to get to the worst top 40 song of 1964. Not as many terrible ones, but some really bad ones. So interested to see what you've got.
I got one special place in hell for this one. Nearly killed my love for Pearl Jam. I got Last Kiss by J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers. I just hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the cover version. I hate the original. Something just really lame about the lyrics. I don't know. So overwrought. It just always bugged me. It's probably because I hate the Pearl Jam version so much that it kind of transient property to this one, because it's not quite as bad as the Pearl Jam version, but I still hate it.
I also hate the Pearl Jam version, which I think saved this from me not picking it, because I was like, well, at least it's not as annoying as the Pearl Jam version. But I'm with you there, buddy. My winner of the worst song, and I don't think the song is terrible. I do not like it. My main thing is this sounds like it's from 1954 instead of 1964. And I'm just like, are you listening to what's going on here? Like, can't you just update yourself a little bit here? But I'm going with Bread and Butter by the New Beats. Really just stupid, tacky song that's just about what he likes to eat is bread and butter. He's a simple man, but oh no, got caught eating chicken and dumplings. That's it. I just reviewed the entire song. That's the song. It's pretty bland analogy, just like bread and butter for a very bland song. Bland as hell, dude. This song, no dice for me.
I love both of those songs, and I love both versions of Last Kiss. Neither of those are anywhere close to as bad as my selection. But before I get to that, I've got a honorable mention, which is probably the actual worst song of the year, by Bobby Goldsboro, called Me Japanese Boy, I Love You. That's all I have to say about it. You already know why it's terrible. Not a good song, but it didn't reach the top 40. Peaked at number 70 something. So
that's like the new John Mayer classic, Why You Know Love Me.
Yeah, maybe that's where he got the inspiration. But my official pick is going to be by the Serendipity Singers. It's a song called Beans in My Ear, and it's about putting beans in your ear. And it is really cloying and annoying and silly and dumb. And it was banned from the radio in Pittsburgh because children were hearing the song and putting beans in their ears.
It can't be the worst song ever if it's so cool, dangerous that you have to start.
It was banned in Pittsburgh and I think Boston. So,
well, Boston baked beans, of course.
They eat a lot of beans in Boston. That's well known.
Beantown.
Maybe the Heinz Pittsburgh connection. Heinz baked beans. Too many beans lying around in Pittsburgh. Dangerous.
But yeah, somehow that song, even after being banned, managed to make it all the way to number 30 on the charts. All right, time for the moment you've all been waiting for, our songs of the year. Before we get to that, our standings, anyone know what they are? I think Cram and I are tied at 2.5 now since I won last week, and Joe is a half point behind us.
Yeah, I made the mistake of picking the Beach Boys last year, so I'm gonna do it again. Don't Worry Baby is my pick for Song of the Year. Brian Wilson, noted fan of Phil Spector, noted fan of Be My Baby by the Ronettes. Listened to it 1,000 times, he said. Well, he did, and then he one-upped them by writing a superior version, their own version of the Wall of Sound. Don't Worry Baby is just perfect in my ears. It's one of my all-time, it's got to be my top 25 ever. The harmonies, the killer falsetto from Brian Wilson, that sharp guitar, the real sharp chords, just perfectly arranged. Not quite as peppy and happy as the usual Beach Boys fare, and a little undercurrent there. And I just think it's the perfect of that style. I think that is the pinnacle of the 60s as far as the Wall of Sound and kind of what they were going for there. So the burgeoning genius of Brian Wilson, he took a fabulous song, one of the best, and made it just a little bit better. So yeah, hopefully I also win this week because I don't want to fall too far behind here. I'm getting a little worried. Got to get off my Beach Boys.
Don't worry, baby. It's just standings. Unfortunately for you, even if you do win, you won't surpass me because my winner is Don't Worry, Baby by the Beach Boys. When we did our top 10 Beach Boys songs, this was number 2, but really it's number 1, number 2, and then no other Beach Boys song really is on this mountain of greatness that I've got. I mean, they have other great songs, but this is also one of my favorite songs ever for all the reasons Joe just said. I think it's like a little bit of like a short film teaser for what Pet Sounds will be because of that undercurrent sort of idea of melancholy wrapped in that wall of sound. One of my all-time just favorite vocal moments ever is when he goes up to the, oh, I don't know how long. So good. Just love it. And yeah, like that sharp guitar that just like creates like this imagery of like washed up, just like driftwood on the beach to me. Like it's so cool and specific. For all the reasons Joe said, it's just a gorgeous piece of writing style and harmony. Harmonies are just great. It's whimsical, it's magical without being like out of this world. It's very grounded at the same time, very personal. So yeah, I'm with Joe. I almost had the same favorite and least favorite song of 64. Very close.
You're kismet right now.
All right. Well, that will be a tough song to beat, but I think mine's up to the task. Hopefully, we'll see. My winner for 1964 is The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan, an anthem for the times that still seems relevant today. And when you listen to 707 songs that reached the top 100 in 1964, and then shift over to Bob Dylan, the contrast is so stark. It is completely different than anything else that was going on at the time. Even the other folk singers like Peter, Paul, and Mary, or the Kingston Trio, or whoever, those artists were all so much more polite sounding than Dylan. You get something that feels a lot more real when you listen to his early records, and I don't know, it's just an awesome song, still stands up, still great.
Great choice. My Bob Dylan songs are better though.
It's tough that he picked the one most likely to win this year. So he may have gotten away with it. We'll see.
We did kind of split his chances too. He's got a 50% chance of beating us now.
Make sure you go vote. Links down in the description to our website. We'll have playlists down there as well. You can check those out. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Hit the bell for notifications. And let us know your favorite songs of 1964. Can't wait to see them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.